back to Ed's Garage. It's been a while since I've had a post. Fortunately, the car stuff's all been good. I had one repair I had to do on the Denali, replacing an oil pressure switch, so video coming on that one. But today we need to address a problem that I had noticed about 30 days ago. I was towing the boat home. Whenever I tow and stop, I'm religious about applying the parking brake. So get it home to winterize it here at the main house, back in the driveway, put on the parking brake, and the pedal goes to the floor. Put it in park, foot off the brake, and I roll forward. So obviously the parking brake was not working. Let me take you and we'll go underneath the vehicle and show you what I found.
Okay, so right now I am under the left side, the driver's side of the vehicle. And if you go take a look, this spring is completely flexed in. Basically, there's no cable in there that's keeping it taut, so it's just the spring staying in the retainers. By comparison, sorry about the shaking, by comparison, let's go look at the right side. Okay, so on the right side here, you can see if I go and zoom in, you see the spring's still taut and you can clearly see the cable that's in there. So, left side has a broken intermediate or left rear brake cable. The brake assembly is at least 4 cables. You have a left rear and a left right. They come into the equalizer on the driver's side frame rail. And then from there you go up and there's at least 1 or 2 cable assemblies from there. It looks like the parking brake system's a pretty good design with regard to releasing pressure and self-adjusting after a repair. That should be pretty good. But let's go look at options now that we know that we need at least a rear left parking brake cable.
Okay, so now that we know we need a rear left parking brake cable, and looking at it, you know, this truck is now 14 years old, although for a Chicago truck it's got a pretty easy life. It's a special purpose vehicle, so it's not a daily driver that's always out in the snow. But hey, if we get heavy snow or ice where we want the size, weight, all-wheel drive, etc., we'll go pull that out, and then I'm always pretty good after there's been a snow event to get the car through undercarriage wash and get underneath cleaned up. With that said, it's still spent 14 years of launching boats extremely frequently. So if one cable is bad and I'm digging into it, odds are the right rear cable is also suspect and ready to go. So I knew I wanted to go and replace both cables. Originally I was going to do this, ask my buddy Phil, who owns Sam's Euro Asian Domestic, if I could come use his lift again. He graciously said yes, but all this is going to require is to get the truck up off the ground, pull the wheels off just so I have better access, and it's due for a tire rotation anyways. So I'm just going to knock it out here. Won't be the first time I've had the truck as high as I can on jack stands and get under it. But I went to Rock Auto because that's where I like ordering my parts from. And once I focused down to, it's a GMC, it's a 2008, it's a 6.2 Denali, get down to the brake system and filtered it down to I just want the rear left brake, I still had 8 options. Okay, not sure. Of course, there's GM Original, there's AC Delco Professional, there's Dorman, there's Ray Bestis. So I got rid of Dorman, Ray Bestis. I still have 4 GM Original or AC Delco Gold parts to choose from. So let me go and show you what I chose and how I came to that decision.
So the reason that there's 4 cables of GM or AC Delco is there are 2 different designs as they are shown, and when it comes down to really is a first design, a second design, and it is a length difference that matters. So now I knew I had to estimate the length of my original cable. So I got a sewing tape that my wife's had in a sewing kit. Not that the sewing kit is used often, but still we had a fabric sewing tape. So I ran that along the old broken cable. I was guessing that it's measured from cable end to cable end, not from housing bracket mount to housing bracket mount. And from cable end to cable end, I came up with 60 inches. When you go and put that through a converter to millimeters, because the Rock Auto site shows these in millimeters, the 1,545 millimeters is roughly 60 inches. So I wound up going with, for the left rear, this GM part number, which is the 1,545 millimeter option. The second design is roughly 200 millimeters smaller. So, you know, how things change that a shorter cable is different, I don't know. And then when you look at the AC Delco Pro or the Raised Bestis, they're still shorter and longer, but they don't match the exact lengths. Instead of 60 inches, they have, say, 57 and 63. And then for the right rear, I had not measured that one, but staying with the GMOE first design, this is the part number that we came up with. And then what I did here is went and pulled it out, ran a tape measure from cable end to cable end over there, and that did come up to roughly about 60 inches. So I think I'm good. I've got to get this air compressor out of here. Got that home from storage yesterday. Get that pulled in here, jacked up as high as I can, tires off, and we'll pick it up from there. Somebody had to come join me. Jackson, you gonna watch me, bud? Okay, so got her up. I don't think we can get her much higher. I was crushing the molding there with the jack stands up until I got it lowered. So let's go and I'll show you how the cables all come together. Okay, so I am laying down on the left side. You can see the left wheel. The cable comes through a guide, so does the right one. And then it immediately hits the equalizer there. And you can see that the top one here is the left, and it's just broken and has all sorts of play. So when I'm hitting this brake, I'm strictly pulling the right one and nowhere near what it should be. So this is the intermediate cable from the equalizer forward, and it goes through frame rail again, and you can see all the way down there. Let's see if I can zoom in on it through the viewfinder. So right there is the union from the, what I'll call the intermediate cable, up to the pedal cable. So since the left side is broken, this should be fairly easy to pull out just the way it is without relieving any pressure. That's what I'm going to move on to next. Okay, so I pulled the cable out of the equalizer for the left side. Now there's two pinch tabs holding that in, so that's next to get that out. Okay, so I finally just got that out. Took way longer than I would have expected. I tried to use these, where are we at? These pliers to squeeze the tabs, that didn't work. Tried a bunch of screwdrivers. Eventually, I just pushed in the tabs as best as I could and then hammered on the left side of that until it gave through. So at this point, I'm going to go and finish pulling it through. Okay, so this cable was routed on the top of the loop through here, then the upper loop up there. We'll replace them one at a time. Oh, of course the cable head has to get stuck now. Be better off just cutting this. Okay, so that's there. Now let's see from up top what it's going to take to get the hook off. There's a broken spring. Well, the hook will come off easy. There we go. So now, same thing with the tabs. There's one pushed in. There's two pushed in. Let's see if they'll... Okay. So at this point, I want to compare the cables. So the cable's not going to come through there, but let's at least get molding to molding. And then we'll check. But so far this looks like this is a perfect replacement for what was there. So first things first, we have to go and get through here. Okay, that's done. Now we need to pull the spring back and get on the hook. Okay. Maybe we should put that hook on before we pushed in. Okay. Alright, pulling the cable did it. Let me check again from up top. Yep, we're fully seated. So now we just need to remember the exact routing. Where do we go over or under the suspension link? Okay, so I have the new cable. It's all routed in position, and all that's left is connecting it to the equalizer, but we need to create some slack. So let me go show you how that's done. What we're going to have to do, I'm going to need a helper, and I'm going to need my bride to pull on the cable up there so that she effectively is doing the same thing that pressing down the cable would do, or pressing on the pedal. And hang on. She presses on the cable. What will happen is the cable head there will rotate up and back, and then if you'll see right here where my big finger is a hole. That will go clear through that once the cable is pulled down so that that cable head is fully pulled back by pulling on the slack from underneath. We'll be putting a screwdriver through there to hold it in that position, which will create the slack that we need. I don't know I'll be able to film this, but that's basically what you're doing. Pulling down on the cable, getting a screwdriver in there, and then you'll have slack. Okay, I've got no idea what the camera sees, but we're going to try this. Whoop, sorry about dropping the lug nut in your head. Okay, go ahead and pull. You're moving it. Keep going. Keep going. You're about a third of the way. A lot more. That's my whole body. Let me get a screwdriver, see if I can help you. I'm not letting go, right? Correct. Alright, right now we just don't have enough downward force down there. Okay, go again. You know what? Let's change positions. Okay, so a lot of time, a YouTube video or two, and a little swearing has gone by since our last attempt, but we did get it done. There was a gentleman has a channel where he did this on a 3/4 ton, and he used a technique with the vice grip here to pull down on the spring catch. That freed up a little more space. My wife still wasn't able to pull it enough, but between her pulling and me pushing on the cable head with a big screwdriver, we got it there. So I was contemplating, hang on. So I was contemplating, I've got that all set. You can see I've got it into the equalizer. I've pulled the head out of the right brake cable. I was playing with the idea, since we have a family event that we both like to go to, that's in Indiana, that I would just do the right and let it go. But with how much work that was to pull back on the assembly to adjust, I'm going to go through and do the same thing to replace cable number 2. I don't know I'll film that much of it, it's more the same. Here we go. Okay, so I got the right cable, the left side out of the retainer. So, comes under the sway bar, is clipped in. Let's hope those clips will free up without a problem. There's 2 clips, let me show you. So as you go through, there's 2 clips here I'm going to have to figure out how to free up so that they'll release that and then keep going. And this is going to be easier to see and work with the spare tire out of the way. Okay, the spare tire that is almost 15 years old is out of the way. So I can get these 2 clips, and while I'm at it, I'm going to take down this mud shield. I'll show you why. So, something happened and the mud shield gave way. Needs a quick, simple weld. I don't feel like chewing that far into it, so I'll just take this down, put it there. I should be able to remount this very simply with the spare tire reinstalled. So right now, we're going to get these clips off. Getting tools everywhere. Let me make sure I don't hit my head on that big drawbar. That will not feel good. Okay, bearings. Where were we? And that's one end of it. Here's the other. There we go. That's clip number 1. Looks like they'll go back in without a problem. Let's get this out of the way. Smart guy would get the spare tire cover out of the way now, but smart guys are lazy too. Okay, that's that. So now we're to fighting the clip. That should be pretty easy with this end release. I should be able to get it off of the end here pretty simply. Yep. So that's done. So what's left is to push in these 2 tabs and get that out. So where'd that screwdriver go again? Screwdriver must be up a body cavity with how difficult it is to find. see if I can get pliers on that and rotate it. With the one tab partially in. There we go. Okay, so the cable comes down through this hole. Gotcha. And let's do a comparison. Caught up in the spare tire. So we've got same amount going out. Looks good so far. Clearly have the proper cable. Okay. So, oh. Need a new cameraman, it looks like. Hopefully. Oh. Don't know what that video's gonna look like, but. So now the question is, yeah, we have it under here, under the exhaust. I think I decided last time that I want to put the hook on before I go and set this, so okay, that hook is on. So now spring is on there. Now we'll go and push the cable into the sheath. There we go. Okay. So that cable is set. Now we go and get our clips back in place. Can't tell that there was a top or bottom to this. Okay, that clip is on. Getting spare tires fun. Okay. Okay, it's set there, and then this came we're under the sway bar, but I believe we'll hold that one. Okay, that's that. Alright. She is in place. So now, at this point, I'm going to drop down that spare tire carrier, and I'm gonna guess that's about a 15 mil. Alright, I grabbed a 15 and a 17. 15 it is. And not been touched with coming up on 15 years. Well, Chicago winters, we went with the breaker bar to get it going. Easy. No problem at all. Except for a spare tire cable in the face. Nope, not yet. Alright, one more piece. Hey, Jackson. Okay. So that's out of the way. So my wife just came out, which is perfect timing because I need her to help me take tension off that parking brake. So back with you shortly. Okay. Oh, what's the camera saying? That's recording. Don't know what I was saying. I think I've got a decent view. So my wife came out and held the cable so I could slowly release it. It's near position. Now what they say is you have to press and release 3 times. So we're going, I have a bad left shoulder. Fully down, good. I'm going to set the camera up there. Hopefully that's a good spot. Release, that's 1. 2. Comes all the way up. You might have to help it back up. 3. I'll do one more. They say 3 times should do it, but I'm catching right there. Yeah, we've got good breakage. So now, just a real quick check. So, fairly easy. Well, I'm turning an entire axle naturally. And then, nothing. So, we have success. At this point in time, I need to rotate tires, put the spare back up. Eventually I'll weld that skirt, but until I wrap up, I'm going to take a little break here and then we'll summarize.
I just realized that something should be off. Hopefully that won't be a problem. Oh, stuck on something. Full battery. So about 2 months ago I picked up this torque wrench from Harbor Freight. It's a Quinn, and it's specifically for doing tires in that it only has 4 presets. So it does, I'm sorry, 5, 80, 100, 120, 140, and 160. My vehicles are 100, my wife's is a 110, and then 2 140s. Pretty nice to have that you're not sitting there dialing forever. The only caveat is when you're up in the 140 range, it's a fairly short handle that you're putting some back into it to deliver 140 foot-pounds. But other than that, worthwhile to pick up. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to wrap up there. So I think my total investment on the 2 cables packing list was probably just out here. I may have thrown it away. I want to say I was just under $100 for GM OE cables, and then tax and shipping, I'm going to call it $123, something like that, to go do it. As far as the job goes, the hardest part is that parking lever. I will put a link in. I went to a gentleman, I can't remember his screen name now, but he showed a little trick where you put vice grips on the spring catch, push that back, and that buys you a little more looseness. That between my wife pulling and me pushing with a screwdriver, we were able to set that back. Other than that, you're dealing with the lockout prongs and the cable. The plastic ones are probably a bit more of an issue. The metal ones, I simply pried them completely out, wiggled them till they broke, and that was pretty easy to deal with. So it's nice the way the pedal goes and auto adjusts again. So at this point, just time to start it up and get it parked over here, because we've got to get the other cars back in and head off for a party. Thanks for your time. Hope this helps you, and please, I'm just starting out. I know I don't have the best camera or GoPros or any of that stuff, but if it helped you out, do me a favor and click like, subscribe. As time goes on, I'll get more content, but I appreciate your time being with me doing a little wrenching today. Thanks. Bye.